Absolutely.
Like a good example is COVID. Our country is literally falling apart. They're talking about bread riots.
Right.
I'm not even kidding. We'll pull it up.
That's interesting.
Are bread riots coming to America? Also notice the ad at the top is a bunch of body armor.
Huh.
Are bread riots coming to America? You know what? I don't know, but maybe. But here, the issue I see is the big problem I think it's affecting us right now is that we can't talk. Literally, no one can talk about, say, hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
And you have Dr. Harvey Risch of Yale, MD, PhD, writing op-ed after op-ed about how he thinks it is helpful.
Yeah.
About how we can use it to end this crisis. You've got articles coming out about the low death rate.
Right. The
deaths going down. But the only thing you're allowed to talk about is that it's getting worse, period. Even though most people don't see it. You know, you look at the polling for Republicans, they almost exclusively don't care about it.
Right.
At all. Like the Sturgis motorbike rally, they just show up.
Yep. They're doing their thing.
But when you look to the left, they're screeching. Like, why won't people wear masks?
They're terrified. They want to give you oxytocin to make you more likely to wear your mask.
Yeah. So what are we supposed to do? You know, it's interesting. I did a segment on masks because we had the Atlas Gym in New Jersey. They actually revoked the business license of
the city did, right?
Yeah, it was the city, and it was a Democratic council, and it was 5-1. And what is this? You know, if the media doesn't allow conversations like the Newsweek one, and they have to panic because they're terrified of this activist group of people, like we're screwed, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not even kidding. We're talking about 30 to 40 million evictions. And if anyone steps out of line, even the president, it's just lie after lie after lie in the media. The only thing you're allowed to do, I mean, I'll tell you what, if I came out and made a video where I pushed the most unhinged and insane far left conspiracy about COVID, saying it was worse and the end is coming and it's Trump's fault, I'd be fine.
Yep.
They wouldn't do anything negative. Yeah. I could read one article talking about hydroxychloroquine, and then they shut it down, they ban you, and there have been YouTubers already banned.
It's so weird, this article, to me, because in it they talk about how desperate people are getting and how much they're struggling and how little money they have and what an issue it is for them to be stuck in, you know, COVID nightmare, COVID purgatory. And their final solution is to say that they are in need of government help. That's their ultimate sentence. They're like, we just need help from people. Like, we need help from the government. The Republicans have to be willing to give people things. And I'm like, why don't we just reopen the economy? Why don't we let people go to work?
You're not allowed to say that.
Why is that?
I don't know. And it's tiresome, man. It is increasingly tiresome. It is increasingly frustrating that, you know, the restrictions that are increasingly put in place. I think things are getting better. I mean, we just saw Crowder got reinstated into the partner program.
Yeah, that's great.
So hopefully, you know, it's not that bad and it's getting better. But you look at what's going on in New York, and it feels like sometimes they're trying their hardest to help Trump win by destroying everything.
Yeah, and you kind of floated that theory before that they actually want Trump to win. And I've kind of seen that with the media where they get this huge bump from him. So to me, that kind of makes sense.
Maybe
they would want to keep him in. I don't know, but
maybe that's it.
Yeah.
There was an article we had from Digiday talking about how all these news outlets are starting to panic. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do once Trump is out of office? Like, their revenue stream is gone.
Who are they going to talk about?
I mean, cable TV for sure. I think everyone except Tucker Carlson and Hannity will just evaporate overnight.
Yeah.
Tucker and Hannity had record ratings for cable history.
Yeah.
That's weird to me, especially considering, I mean...
No one even watches cable anymore, right?
But they do for them, I suppose. And so I think if Trump were to lose, CNN's gone, MSNBC... whatever, all these channels are just gone. Fox News would still be around, but their ratings would be a lot lower.
Right.
And I wonder what it is that causes cable TV to do that well. I understand it's Trump, but like, why cable TV specifically?
I think it must just be older people, an older demographic.
It's not true.
No, you don't. It's not.
It's not.
What are the stats on it?
Tucker Carlson specifically is getting like 30-year-olds.
Really?
Yeah, 30-year-old dudes.
I did not know that.
Yep.
That's like the coveted demographic.
It is, yeah. He's nailing it. And then we're actually seeing the key demo go up for these other channels as well. I definitely think COVID has pushed people into a, like really politically active space.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely pushed them home and given them
mean?
more free time. It's given them free time to catch up on the news. And I think probably more people are following current events than were before because they have time. They're not at work anymore.
Right,
Time
exactly.
to sit around and think. And
Yeah, there's no sports.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah, huh?
I'm seeing a lot of people get active on Twitter. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, if only we could do something else. But yeah, it's people are getting active on Twitter. I'm seeing people I know from back home all of a sudden now are tweeting nonstop.
Turning up. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and
That's
I'm like,
fun.
these are
That's kinda
people
fun.
who don't normally talk about anything.
They're being activated.
They are being activated.
Oh.
I think it's partly due to the Democrats' strategy. They need a massive voter turnout.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, so, look, I'm not one to push conspiracies, but I got to say, when the governors of these states are arresting people for opening their businesses with no scientific justification, I'm like, are you really that dumb and evil? Maybe.
I don't know.
But what?
That would be the simplest solution, wouldn't it?
They're dumb and evil?
Yeah, they're just dumb. Maybe just dumb. I guess we could give them the benefit of the doubt and just call them kind of dumb.
Why would I give them the benefit of the doubt?
Fair point. That's fair.
I don't know. I saw somebody posted earlier that Trump was evil. Again, another one. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, as time goes on, there used to be arguments that I would hear about Trump, and I'd be like, that's a good point. He's an imperfect guy. Now the only arguments they have are so unhinged. I'm like, I don't remember the last time someone said something about Trump that was bad that actually made a point that made me consider Trump was bad.
Right. And that makes me think, everything I've observed that I didn't really like about Trump, I observed for myself. I did not need anyone else to tell me that Trump made a mistake, that he called someone a name, that he said the wrong thing in a press conference. I saw that for myself.
So maybe it's just because the media is breaking and we're all starting to pay attention.
Yeah.
Like maybe, I know it's true to say early on in Trump's in the 2015 cycle, they were lying about what Trump was saying.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had the Shinzo Abe thing. So I've known there's been a lot of lies, but there's been legit things like, the easiest thing to call to is the Rosie O'Donnell thing.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that that a lot of people don't know this. There's that viral video of where Trump is doing the arm thing. You know what I'm talking about? Where he shakes and he puts his arm up or whatever. And he's like, duh, duh. And the media ran this narrative that he was mocking a disabled journalist.
Like a certain journalist.
A specific guy who has an. I'm like, was that a setup? Did Trump fall? Like, I don't understand, because apparently I've seen the videos now. Trump does that to make fun of everybody.
Have you ever seen, I'm going to ask this seriously, and I don't mean this in any kind of disrespect. Have you ever seen a reporter who's had a developmental disability like that before?
No.
I think it might have been a setup, and that's a terrible thing to say.
I mean,
I don't know.
No.
You don't think so?
No, because how are you going to... I guess they could trick Trump. They knew, like, Trump likes to do this, so
right.
But that's silly, because you never know when Trump's going to act crazy or whatever.
True, and you know what? That would have required a little bit of forethought. So I will rule that out completely, because I don't think they have any forethought whatsoever.
I've never been more conspiratorial in my life than this whole year.
This year, yeah.
Because it's like things make literally no sense. Why? Like I can't remember who tweeted about this, but it was like a journalist. It was a prominent journalist that I think it was a guy who used to be with the New York Times. The Sun Belt states never locked down. They're doing fine. South Dakota never locked down. Their GDP is actually like slightly up.
Yeah.
All of these other states are putting sick people in nursing homes or did.
Jeez, yeah.
And they're shutting things down. And for what?
Apparently for like some kind of gigantic virtue signal. I really don't know, because if you're putting sick people in nursing homes, what really are you going for? To me, that feels like nothing but a virtue signal, saying we're doing something, and maybe not even the right thing, but at least we're doing something.
That had to be some kind of, I don't know, man.
To me, that's like pure evil, because
Right.
I've worked in hospitals and nursing homes. That is not a place where you take that kind of stuff lightly. Like, you put on PPE for everything that someone else might get. You really wanted to make sure that your old people don't get sick.
They put people with COVID in nursing homes in multiple states.
Yep.
And for what reason did they do this? And now a large portion of those who died were in nursing homes.
Yeah. And yeah, old people are naturally immunocompromised at a certain point, especially people in nursing homes. That is cruel. That's really cruel.
There's no like conspiracy theory. It's literal. It's like,
no, this happened. Yeah.
They took people and put them in a place with the most COVID vulnerable people possible. And that accounted for a lot of the death. Like, the people who are more likely to die from COVID are older people.
Of course, yeah.
So why would they do that? And that's why, look, I've never been more conspiratorial.
I haven't either. It's making me feel a little weird because I'm not naturally conspiratorial. I'm very skeptical. I'm like, I don't believe, I want to see for sure what's happening, but I'm watching them put sick people in with old people. And I'm like, what is happening and why? I hate it. I really like old people.
And then you have to speculate because they can't be that stupid.
There's no way.
And I think Cuomo's even talked about it. He blamed Trump for it. He's like, oh, Trump told us to do it or something like that.
Then why are all the states not doing it?
Because they're full of it. They're lying. Yeah, I have no answer. All I can tell you is, man, it just feels intentional.
Yep.
And then what about the riots?
You know what I was thinking the other day? They could have released that body cam footage pretty much as soon as they had it.
Keith Ellison said no.
Why did Keith Ellison say no?
He literally said, I don't want to compromise a successful prosecution.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
That's actually what his reason was.
That's amazing.
And now the body cam footage has come out from the George Floyd incident, and we know the narrative they gave us was not true. But I even read the report. Mm-hmm. It's so man. I had someone criticizing me on Facebook, saying that I wouldn't talk about the police brutality, and I'm like, I covered this like to every degree. When the George Floyd thing happened, I literally went step by step.
I remember that, yeah.
And I read one of the reports that said they pulled him out of the vehicle for some reason, and then pinned him down, and I was like, wow. And I was like, that's it. They pulled him out again.
Yeah.
They had him in the vehicle. Turns out he kicked his way out. And he said, hold me on the ground. I'm claustrophobic and all these things.
3 times, yeah.
And so I still think it was it's an unfortunate circumstance, and we don't want these things to happen. But they held onto that body camera footage that would have proven all of this and stopped all of it.
Yeah, and by the time they let it out, the riots were off and running. Like, there was no stopping this. And people were rioting for reasons of their own. And it's taken on a life of its own. Like, I don't even know what people are on about anymore.
You know what really bugs me? I keep getting text messages from the same numbers for the same candidates, but from different people. Like, they hand each other the phones and say, just try again.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. So I got a text message, I think yesterday, and they were like, can we count on you to make a donation to, this progressive or whatever? And I said straight up, I was like, absolutely not. Because I'm tired of the riots and I'm tired of the lies.
Yeah.
Like, the riots have been going on and the media's acting like it's not happening.
What did they say?
I understand. Can I ask who you're supporting? The only person who has said they will deal with the riots. And they're like, and who is that? And I'm like, I hope you have a nice day.
Yeah.
And then today, I get a text message from the same number. It's a different name. Hi, this is Jack. Yesterday it's like, hi, it's Mike. Now it's Jack or Sarah or whatever. And we're hoping you can contribute to the campaign of this person or whatever. And I'm like, I told the person the exact same thing yesterday. I was like, they raised the bridges in Chicago and shut down the loop area. They're like, shouldn't people know about what's going on?
They sure should.
I wonder why it is YouTube allows channels like this to exist.
Like ours?
Yeah. What
makes you wonder?
Like, because we're talking bad about the narrative and everything they've put forward. Like the I don't know, is it to feign there's some kind of objection to
I think so. I think they have to pretend that they're mildly objective. I don't think they see any way around that. Because with so many different avenues of social media, there's going to be some way you can speak up and say something.
I think maybe it has to do with, like, yes, they want to make it look like you have an objective platform.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with if there is you have controlled opposition, essentially. Not that there's anyone at YouTube telling me what to say, but I do think it's rather interesting that certain channels seem to do okay and certain channels don't, and certain channels get deleted. And I think there's an acceptable opposition that these companies feel safe with. I think it's mostly business related, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was political as well. Like, they're both interests that companies have. And so it's basically like, one of the things I've talked about before is how they spin the wheel so that far left becomes left, right wing becomes far right, centrist becomes right wing. They want to shift everything over. And so they're okay with like, a liberal like me doing content that's, talking, against the Democrats because they want an acceptable opposition.
Right. That almost sounds like an art of war strategy. So if you have opposition, do everything in your power to kind of contain them and control them to a level that you can actually like keep track of what they're saying.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.